What's up everyone, welcome back to another video with the Millennial Finance. Today, we'll be talking about whether ASB financing is still worth it given the current macroeconomic conditions. Let's get started. Cha-ching! So ever since we started this YouTube channel, we have made quite a few videos regarding ASB and more specifically ASB financing. To us, it's almost a no-brainer investment decision to make, and the extra leverage gives us even higher returns than what we would normally get from Amanah Saham. I've always said before that yes, even though we are paying interest to the banks, historically we will still make more money due to the higher leverage compared to just investing directly into Amanah Saham. But with interest rates on the rise, is this still the case? To know if ASB financing is still worth it, we have to compare it against directly investing into ASB. So let's say you take up a loan and your monthly payment amount is 500 ringgit. Will you make more money from this loan, or are you better off just putting this 500 ringgit every single month into ASB directly? In doing this comparison, we've taken some historical data on ASB returns, and we've also taken the monthly payment required based on the loan amount from Maybank's website. So we're assuming a 5% return on ASB annually based on the last 2 years, and we're also taking the 4.35% interest rate that we will have to pay on an ASB financing loan based on what we see from Maybank. This is just what they're offering, but based on our market research, most other banks are around the same level. Maybe some of them are slightly lower, but the results will barely change. We're also taking an example of a 200,000 ringgit loan for 35 years, which is the longest loan tenure possible, so that comes out to a monthly payment of 910 ringgit. The reason we do this is because for ASB financing particularly, we've said this before, it's always in your best interest to take the longest loan tenure that you possibly can. We want to maximize leverage so our returns can be as high as possible, and if you decide to take a shorter loan tenure, then your effective returns will definitely be impacted negatively. So, with this information on hand, we compared how much money you would get if you took on this ASB financing loan versus if you just set up an auto deposit of this 910 ringgit every single month directly into ASB. As things stands, it turns out that ASB financing still outperforms directly investing into ASB. At the end of 35 years, the person who took out the ASB loan had a portfolio value of 1.05 million ringgit compared to 930,000 ringgit for the person who directly invested into ASB. The difference between the two options are now a lot smaller given that interest rates are a lot higher than they were previously. So there's two things that can make it even worse for ASB financing. The first one being even higher interest rates, and the second one being a lower ASB return. Even though a lower ASB return will technically impact both sides, the side who took on the ASB financing loan will be impacted just a bit more. For example, if ASB decides to declare a dividend of 4% for 2022, then the difference between the two options now becomes nothing. And this is also not factoring in further interest rate hikes, which is almost inevitable. Just in between the time that I was writing the script for this video and the time now which I'm filming this video, Bank Negara Malaysia has already raised the OPR again by 25 basis points. Personally, my 100,000 ringgit ASB loan has already seen its monthly payment increase from 458 ringgit a month at the start of the year to around 501 ringgit per month now. That is a swing of around 43 ringgit per month, which is quite substantial because it's around 10% higher than what I used to pay. So, what do we do about this? Given this information, we know that ASB financing is still slightly more beneficial over the long run. However, we must keep a close eye on future rate hikes and the dividends that ASB can give themselves. The first one is a bit trickier for us to track because the difference in our monthly payments will actually differ by banks, but the second one we can easily track in the next 2 months because ASB usually declares dividends in January. If Amanah Saham actually declares a lower dividend rate, and especially if it gets closer to that 4% mark, then I'll have to reconsider my position in ASB financing. Given markets have been so unprofitable this year for nearly everyone, Amanah Saham could struggle to give out the higher returns that we're so used to. However, I'm not an expert in their portfolio. Maybe they have made some amazing trades this year, so here's to hoping. One thing that we have to take note of though is that ASB's yearly dividend has been on a declining trend over the long term. However, this could be due to interest rates, so if you just think about it, the lower the interest rate goes, the lower the dividends that ASB seems to pay out. now that interest rates are on the hike again, it'll be interesting to see what they declare for this year. For those of you who are taking loans on ASB2, then things are even closer to the edge, as over the last 2 years, it has only paid out a dividend of around 4.3%, which is, like I said, very close to the 4% mark, which is the break even for directly investing into ASB and ASB financing. So personally, I will still be holding on to my ASB financing loan. Two things I will be looking out for is that number one, like I said, January, ASB will most likely declare their dividends, so I'll have a keen eye on that. And the second thing is on even more interest rate hikes. In this video, all the calculations that I made did not factor in the new increase of 25 basis points on our OPR, so we'll have to wait and see how that impacts our monthly payments. If things really do go bad, I won't hesitate to terminate my ASB loan and just set up an auto deposit every single month to go straight into ASB. Don't get me wrong, even though ASB financing could one day be worse off, ASB as a product is still nearly a no-brainer even if it pays out between 4 to 5%. Who doesn't want a risk-free return on investment? We all know this year how difficult it actually is to make returns in the stock market, and if you're not going to give any risk for it, then 4 to 5% is almost a no-brainer. Having said all of this, there are still some non-monetary benefits to having an ASB loan. Firstly, it does help you build your credit score, especially if you don't currently have one or yours is pretty low. From my experience, ASB loans tend to be approved easily because it's technically fully collateralized. The banks don't really have anything on the line, so you can easily get that loan and build up your credit score assuming you pay it off every single month. Another benefit is that since you're now taking it out as a loan, that monthly payment goes from an optional investment into a mandatory loan repayment. This will help those of you who kind of want to force yourself to invest every single month. Compare this if we decide to deposit directly into ASB and some months we could decide to skip it because we want to go on the next holiday or we want to buy that new iPhone. So having the ASB loan in a way does keep you disciplined and ensure that you're sticking to your investment journey. These two things are especially helpful for fresh graduates who, number one, want to build their credit scores, and two, want to start their personal finance journeys on the right note. However, I do know that at the end of the day, all of us just want to maximize our portfolio values. Yes, maybe it does help us in some non-monetary ways, but the monetary aspects of it are still the most important. Like I said, we are keeping our loans right now, but we will keep our eyes peeled on further developments, and if we do decide that we're going to terminate our loans, we will be sure to let all of you know. To make sure that you don't miss out on future videos, especially ones related to ASB financing and our decision on it, subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications. Anyways, that's it for today's video guys. Thanks so much for watching till the end. Give us a big thumbs up and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. See you guys in the next one. Peace out.